The film opens inside a secret research facility. A rat is released into a cage for testing. As it searches for food, an invisible force suddenly grabs it and eats it alive. Sebastian Caine is a brilliant scientist working on a way to make living creatures invisible. The process works, but he still hasn't found a way to reverse it. One night, Sebastian is testing chemical formulas on his computer when another simulation fails. Meanwhile, he spies on a woman in a neighboring apartment taking off her clothes. He is disappointed when she closes the curtains. Moments later, he gets an idea and reworks the formula before running another simulation. This time, the formula appears stable. Excited by the breakthrough, Sebastian calls his ex-girlfriend Linda and tells her about the results. When he notices a man sleeping in her bed, Linda reminds him that her personal life is none of his business. Sebastian then shows her that he has finally solved the reversal process. Linda is impressed that he managed to crack the problem so suddenly. She wakes up her boyfriend Matt and tells him they need to get to the lab immediately. Inside the facility, invisible animals can only be seen through thermal imaging equipment. Matt checks on a gorilla named Isabel, who has been invisible for several weeks. When he enters her enclosure, the animal suddenly becomes aggressive and bites his hand before escaping. The invisible gorilla races through the lab, sending the other animals into a frenzy. Matt chases after her and runs into Sebastian, explaining that Isabel has become increasingly violent. The team believes that remaining invisible for too long is beginning to affect her brain. Sebastian grabs a tranquilizer gun and jokingly bets Matt on who will catch her first. After a brief chase, they corner the gorilla. Sebastian tranquilizes her. Sarah, the team's veterinarian, immediately argues with Sebastian about the next phase of the experiment. She believes testing the new serum on Isabel is dangerous and unethical. Sebastian disagrees and insists that the animal is their best chance to prove the formula works. The team prepares the injection while closely monitoring Isabel's condition. Once everything is ready, Sebastian injects the gorilla with the reversal serum. The chemical visibly spreads through her body. Moments later, parts of Isabel begin to reappear. The experiment appears to be working. Then her condition suddenly worsens. Her heart rate spikes out of control. Seconds later, her heart stops completely. The room erupts into panic as Linda rushes in with a defibrillator. After several shocks, Isabel's heart finally starts beating again. As the team watches in amazement, her body slowly becomes visible once more. For the first time ever, an invisible creature has been successfully restored. To celebrate their success, the team goes out for dinner at an upscale restaurant. While the others enjoy themselves, Sebastian takes the opportunity to speak with Linda privately. He tries to reconnect with her and suggests they give their relationship another chance. Linda makes it clear that she has moved on. Sometime later, Sebastian presents the team's progress to the military officials funding the project. Dr. Kramer asks whether they have solved the reversal problem. To Linda and Matt's surprise, Sebastian lies and says they have not. Kramer warns him that they need results soon. If the project cannot move forward, someone else will take over. After the meeting, Linda and Matt confront Sebastian about the lie. Sebastian explains that if the military learns the truth, they will seize complete control of the project. His solution is simple. They should move directly into human trials before anyone finds out. Sebastian argues that this is their chance to change the world and win the Nobel Prize. Matt worries about the consequences, but Sebastian refuses to back down. Later, the team gathers to discuss the plan. None of them are comfortable with it. Sarah is especially concerned and questions whether the experiment is ethical. Despite their objections, Sebastian eventually convinces them to move forward. On the day of the procedure, Sebastian volunteers to become the first human test subject. Matt gives him one final chance to reconsider. Sebastian jokes that he has come too far to quit now. They irradiate the serum and bring it over to Sebastian, who wants to inject it himself, saying that if anything goes wrong, the others can't be blamed. At first, nothing happens. Then Sebastian suddenly starts shaking. His body begins disappearing in patches. The transformation quickly becomes painful. As the process continues, Sebastian fades away completely. For a moment, the team fears they have lost him. Then his vital signs stabilize. The experiment has worked. Sebastian is now completely invisible. Several hours later, he regains consciousness. The experience leaves him disoriented and in pain. He complains that even his eyelids have become transparent. Because nobody knows what long-term effects the procedure might cause, the team places him under constant observation. They take turns monitoring him throughout the night. During Sarah's shift, she accidentally falls asleep. Sebastian uses his invisibility to touch her inappropriately while she sleeps. Startled, Sarah wakes up and checks the room. but he has already slipped back into bed. The next day, she tells Linda about it, but she's not sure if it actually happened and feels disturbed by the experience. The accusation unsettles the entire team. The next day, Janice enters the restroom and feels like someone is watching her. The feeling becomes so unsettling that she puts on a pair of thermal goggles before using the toilet. The atmosphere inside the lab becomes increasingly uncomfortable. Several team members begin worrying that Sebastian is abusing his new ability. Unbeknownst to them, their suspicions are correct. As they discuss their concerns, an apparently empty chair slowly turns toward them. Sebastian has been listening to everything. That night, it's Linda's turn to monitor Sebastian. While she works on the serum, Sebastian begins messing with her by moving objects around the lab. He even suggests that she find out what it's like to be with an invisible man. Linda immediately rejects his advances. The next day, the team prepares the reversal serum. They inject Sebastian, and at first it appears to be working just like it did with Isabel. As parts of his body begin to reappear, Sebastian suddenly says that something feels wrong. Moments later, he starts choking. His vital signs become unstable. The team realizes that his organs are beginning to fail. As they rush to save him, Sebastian breaks free from his restraints. He throws the others aside with surprising strength and stumbles around the room as his body flickers between visible and invisible. The experiment has failed. Despite the team's efforts, Sebastian becomes completely invisible again. Later, he regains consciousness and learns how close he came to dying. The failed procedure leaves the team with no way to restore him. As a temporary solution, they create a latex mask and artificial skin that allows Sebastian to appear normal while wearing clothes. Now they must figure out why the serum failed. Over the following days, Linda and Matt work tirelessly to find an answer, but every attempt leads nowhere. Meanwhile, Sebastian's condition continues to deteriorate. The isolation and constant testing begin taking a toll on his mental state. One evening, he tells Linda that what the team is doing is no longer enough. That night, Sebastian decides he has had enough of being confined to the facility. Ignoring the rules, he sneaks out of the compound and drives into the city. He stops at a light and scares the heck out of a couple of kids. Back at the lab, the team soon realizes that Sebastian is gone. Meanwhile, Sebastian returns to his apartment to collect some personal belongings. There, he notices his neighbor undressing through her window. Later, while she's taking a shower, her doorbell rings. When she opens the door and finds nobody there, Sebastian slips inside unnoticed. He follows her through the apartment and begins frightening her by moving objects around the room. Things quickly escalate. Sebastian grabs her and rapes her. At the same time, Linda arrives at Sebastian's home looking for him. She discovers that his clothes and disguise have been removed. However, Sebastian spots her from a nearby window and remains hidden until she leaves. Linda returns to the lab and warns the others. The team realizes that Sebastian's invisibility could now pose a serious danger. Not long afterwards, Sebastian returns to the facility as if nothing happened. Linda threatens to report his actions to the committee. Sebastian reminds her that he is still in charge of the project and warns her not to interfere. As time passes, his behavior becomes even more disturbing. It is clear that Sebastian is no longer the same man he was before the experiment. Sebastian comes up with a way to avoid suspicion. He gathers some equipment and rigs the security cameras to make it look like he never leaves the lab. With the fake footage running, he is free to come and go without anyone noticing. Later, he sneaks into Linda's apartment and spies on her. When he sees Matt and Linda together, he becomes furious. In a fit of jealousy, he smashes a window before fleeing the scene. Shaken, Linda calls the lab to check on Sebastian. Frank checks the security cameras and confirms that Sebastian appears to be in his room. Back at the facility, Sebastian's obsession with Linda continues to grow. Consumed by anger, he brutally kills one of the invisible dogs in the lab. The next morning, Sarah discovers the animal's body. She immediately suspects that Sebastian may be responsible. According to the cameras, Sebastian never left the lab. Later, Linda realizes that Sebastian is inside her apartment. She throws a blanket toward where she thinks he is standing and narrowly escapes. Terrified, she rushes back to the lab. Although the cameras still show Sebastian in his room, Linda decides to investigate for herself. When she checks the room, she discovers that it is empty. Sebastian has tampered with the cameras. Linda immediately informs the others. Now they know Sebastian has been leaving the facility every night. Worse, nobody knows what he has been doing outside. Linda decides they need to inform the committee before someone gets hurt. She and Matt agree to take full responsibility for the unauthorized experiment. Unbeknownst to them, Sebastian is listening to the entire conversation. Linda and Matt meet with committee chairman Dr. Kramer and reveal everything Sebastian has been doing. Meanwhile, Sebastian secretly listens from nearby. Kramer agrees to contact the committee and take action immediately. After they leave, Sebastian follows him. Kramer goes to make the call but discovers that his phone line is down. Moments later, he hears a noise near the door and steps outside to investigate. Suddenly, Sebastian appears through the smoke from Kramer's cigar. Before Kramer can react, Sebastian attacks him. He throws him into the swimming pool and drowns him. Just moments later, Kramer's wife arrives, but Sebastian is already gone. The next day, Linda learns that Kramer is dead. Realizing something is terribly wrong, she tries contacting another committee member, but the phone lines have been disconnected. The team decides to alert the security guards instead. However, when they reach the elevator, their access codes no longer work. Frank checks the system and makes a disturbing discovery. Sebastian has removed all of their security clearance. They are trapped inside the laboratory. Armed with thermal goggles, the team begins searching for him. Unfortunately, Janice forgets her goggles and returns to get them. Separated from the group, she becomes an easy target. Sebastian attacks and kills her. Meanwhile, the others search his room for clues. Using the lab's intercom system, Linda pleads with Sebastian to surrender before anyone else gets hurt. When he refuses, the team decides they have no choice but to find him themselves. Moments later, Linda realizes that Janice is missing. They immediately begin searching for her. Their worst fears are confirmed when they discover her body hidden inside a locker. Carter believes Sebastian has escaped. Matt disagrees. He thinks Sebastian planned everything because he knows the team intends to hand him over. Realizing that waiting is too dangerous, they activate the motion detectors and begin searching the facility. Matt and Carter arm themselves and go after him. The plan quickly falls apart. The thermal goggles cannot distinguish Sebastian's body heat from the steam pouring through the pipes. Sebastian takes advantage of the confusion. Suddenly, Sebastian grabs Carter. When Matt turns around, he opens fire. One of the shots ruptures a pipe, and the escaping vapor briefly reveals Sebastian. Matt fires again, forcing him to drop Carter, but Carter is badly injured. Before he can react, Sebastian traps him inside a maintenance tunnel. Matt tries to fight back, but Sebastian overpowers him and attacks him repeatedly. Fortunately, Linda arrives just in time to save him. Elsewhere, Sarah and Frank find the injured Carter. Realizing he needs a blood transfusion, Sarah heads to the lab alone to collect blood packs. As she searches the storage room, she hears Sebastian nearby. To reveal his location, she pours blood across the floor. When nothing happens, she grabs the last blood pack and attempts to leave. Sebastian suddenly appears and attacks her. She tries to defend herself, but he knocks her down, shoots her with a tranquilizer dart, and breaks her neck. Meanwhile, Linda and Matt regroup with Frank. By now, Carter has died from his injuries. The three return to the lab in search of Sarah. Instead, Linda discovers Sarah's body inside the freezer. At that moment, Sebastian attacks again. He kills Frank and turns his attention to Matt. Although Matt fights back, Sebastian wounds him and locks both Matt and Linda inside the freezer. The injury is not fatal, but Matt soon loses consciousness. With time running out, Linda desperately searches for a way out. Using a defibrillator, she creates a powerful magnet and manages to release the freezer door. She drags Matt outside and starts a fire to keep him warm. Meanwhile, Sebastian begins preparing the lab for destruction. He arms an explosive device and heads toward the elevator. Before he can escape, Linda confronts him with a gas canister and sets him on fire. His clothes burn away, causing him to disappear once again. Linda immediately activates the sprinkler system in an attempt to expose him, but Sebastian attacks from behind and nearly kills her. At the last second, Matt arrives and attacks Sebastian from behind. Sebastian is still alive though, and he attacks them again, but electrocutes himself by mistake. His body starts showing up for a moment. However, there is no time to celebrate. The bomb is about to explode. Matt and Linda race toward the elevator shaft. Matt climbs in first and Linda follows close behind. Seconds later, the bomb detonates. The explosion launches the elevator upward through the shaft. The pair barely survives. Moments later, the elevator comes crashing back down and stops directly above them. However, Sebastian is still alive and suddenly grabs Linda, pulling her away from Matt. As the damaged elevator hangs above a raging fire, Sebastian grabs Linda and tries to kiss her. Pretending to cooperate, Linda waits for the right moment. Then she grabs the elevator cable and releases the emergency lever. Sebastian and the elevator plunge into the flames below. With Sebastian finally gone, Linda climbs back to safety. In the end, only Matt and Linda escaped the facility alive. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to our channel and like the video.